Beneath the dry plains of the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, lives a mammal that organizes itself like a beehive. One female in the colony breeds. Everyone else digs, forages, carries, and defends, generation after generation, without ever reproducing. Nothing else with fur and a backbone lives this way, and the animal that does has spent the last 40 years quietly dismantling one mammalian rule after another. The naked mole rat, Heterocephalus glaber, is a rodent 7 to 11 centimeters long, 3 or 4 inches of pink, wrinkled, almost hairless body, with eyes reduced to dots that barely tell light from dark, and 2 pairs of incisors that sit outside the lips, so the animal can dig with its teeth while its mouth stays sealed against the soil. Above ground it looks unfinished. That is because it is never meant to be above ground. This is an animal built entirely to specification for a sealed world of tunnels under sun-hardened earth, and every feature that looks wrong in daylight is right down there. The society is the first astonishment. A colony, commonly dozens of animals, in tunnel systems that can run for kilometers in total, has exactly one breeding female, the queen, who may carry litters of up to 28 pups, the largest of any mammal. The other females are not sterile by anatomy. They are switched off, their reproduction suppressed by the queen's dominance for as long as she holds her place. The non-breeders work. They dig in chains, one animal cutting at the face with its teeth, the line behind sweeping the spoil back, the last one kicking it up and out in little volcanoes of dust. They ferry food, tend the queen's pups, and plug intruders' tunnels with their own bodies. The arrangement has a name from the world of ants and honeybees, eusociality. And when the zoologist Jennifer Jarvis demonstrated it in this rodent in 1981, it was the first time the term had ever been earned by a mammal. The body is the second astonishment, and it keeps a list. Mammals hold a constant internal temperature. The naked mole rat, alone among them, has essentially given that up, letting its body track the burrow, which works because a deep East African burrow is itself a thermostat, holding steady while the surface bakes and chills. Mammal brains die in minutes without oxygen. In laboratory tests, naked mole rats have survived total oxygen deprivation many times longer than any mouse, by doing something no other mammal is known to do, switching their metabolism to run on fructose, the fuel of plants, until the air returns. Stale, crowded tunnel air is acidic to breathe, so the species simply stopped registering acid as pain. Capsaicin, the burn of chili, draws no response either. And then there is the clock. A rodent of this size should live 2 or 3 years. Naked mole rats live for decades, past 30 in captivity, and across those long lives, cancer, the steady tax on almost every other mammal, has proved extraordinarily rare enough that laboratories now study the species' cells for the mechanisms of resistance. None of this is a miscellaneous list. It is one decision with consequences. Commit absolutely to the deep burrow, to its constant temperature, its thin, stale air, its darkness, its safety, and the surface mammal's expensive equipment becomes negotiable. The thermostat, the panic response to bad air, even the fast-burning life. What the burrow demands instead is labor, in quantity, because the colony's food, giant tubers scattered sparsely under the plain, can only be found by digging kilometers on a gamble. One tuber feeds a colony for months, finding it takes a workforce. The hive structure is not an eccentricity. It is the only economy that makes the arithmetic work. So the naked mole rat stands at the head of this season, the underground season, as its thesis specimen. An animal that shows just how much of what we call mammal is really surface mammal, local custom rather than law, and how far the rules bend in a world without weather, without light, and without room to live alone. At the bottom of the system, in the warmest chamber, the queen lies surrounded by her workers, the colony stacked together like one warm body, meters beneath a plane that shows nothing but dirt and dust to anyone walking over it.